I'd like to open the special meeting of Fairport Industrial Development Agency. It's October 7th, 2022. And the purpose of our meeting this morning is to review proposals that we have received for brand and website development. We did receive a total of 12 different proposals, and the board has had an opportunity to review each of those proposals. And the purpose today is to try and come to a consensus and to pare our list down to a manageable number that we may be interviewing potential vendors. So we have, as we established the RFP, we also established some criteria that we would use in evaluating these proposals. And I'd ask Martha if she could just highlight what some of those are. You know, some of them are pretty basic as for profile and the like, but the evaluation criteria, if you could.
Sure. As outlined in our RFP, which we issued back in August, the evaluation criteria is primarily focused on the technical proposal, the qualifications and experience. That was more heavily weighed than the fee, which we'd consider after we got through that technical evaluation. What we were looking for were things like a demonstrated understanding of the project. I think that was clear in several of the proposals. Familiarity with Village of Fairport, whether or not they had previous economic development or marketing activities with us. The demonstration of their firm's experience, expertise, and quality of work. Their evidence of timely completion of projects, references, overall quality and completeness of the response. One of the things as I was going through the 12 of them was whether or not they gave us what we asked for as outlined by the RFP, and some did a better job of that than others. So I think we've got a big task ahead of us, so I appreciate your help in this.
Okay, so bear with me 1 second. All right, I'll just kind of start off with the one of the things that came out is that from the price side of things, as that's one of the weighted averages that we were going to use, pricing seemed to be very close to each other. So it's not going to be a huge factor, and I think if the board feels that we had someone that we wanted to call in that was over the budget we amount, these are, as a proposal, if they are somewhat negotiable, and if we need to adjust or felt the need to adjust, then we could do that.
And I do think that based on the volume of responses, our budget was appropriate.
It was. But one of the things I know was we're going through there, as we internalize this for our budget, we're going to have to account for some certain add-ons, like photography for the one big thing. We recognize that our photography is not very good that we're using currently, and we're going to want professional done. And so I think we're going to need to allot money for a couple of extra.
Expensive, and video will be appropriate,
Yes.
in whatever format we choose.
So as we did this, I'll just tell you the things that I looked at that were important to me. As we talked about earlier, there's a number of us that don't understand the technical part of web building, but we all do understand business in a certain sense. And so I focused on the business side of it and looking at a firm's experience, and then particularly experience in governmental sectors. And then I looked at the firm's capacity to do work, the size of a firm, not necessarily a large, or a super large firm, but somebody that has the strength to be able to meet our schedule. I did look at schedule as well. We laid out a schedule in our proposal, and for the most part, people believe that was reasonable. But I know that there's been challenges in other ones that I've seen done where they did not come in on schedule. So that's very important to me that we're able to hit our deadlines. Those are the kind of things that I was looking at specifically. What else was there? Client base, and obviously looking at the websites that they gave us as examples of their work. And again, for me, not being a technical person, I'm looking at ease of use. What makes it me as a layman, able to get around somebody's site. So those are things that I looked at during the evaluation. So other thoughts on how you looked at things, just in the broad sense, and then we can get into specifics of rankings.
Yeah, I don't mind chiming in. The level of detail was a key factor for me. When you think about how long it's been since this organization undertook a project like this, and it was really, some of them jumped out to me with the level of detail and effort that they put into making sure we understood through the proposal documents that the ability to roadmap what the site might look like, different details in regards to what how they would help us walk through the process of what we envision this looking like and developing that vision. So some of them were much more granular than others. Something that I'm sure I'm not alone in the idea that the content piece of this is a variable. And I'm curious as we go forward, where we have further conversations with folks that we take a step forward with, their ability to kind of clarify for us what support they can provide in the content development and evolution of the content that we have, and also what that does to the timeline. Right? If the timelines look pretty reasonable across the board and what we were presented with these responses to the RFP, but if the content development is going to drastically delay that or push that out, we would want to know that.
I read them. I was impressed by some of the variety of firms and structure of some of the firms, and even the geographic diversity of the firms, and was grateful for that. I liked that some of them actually delved in and offered examples and that were potentially doable, or at least gave us a visual idea of what they're thinking, especially for my counterparts who don't live and work in this environment, which was, I thought, a good idea. And looking at some of the websites, there were some that, like the structure of, didn't really love how it looked, but the structure was different. And of course, the look is based on what their boards liked and wanted to see. And those are, so you can't just completely turned off by that, but even the timeline for me, we could slow it down just as quickly as they can. It's never easy for either side to keep a timeline. With somebody who's always running behind at work, because it takes longer than you think to write. But I think we've got a lot of good stuff here, and for me, it was easy to come up with a top 5, harder to come to 3.
Yeah, everything everybody said. I mean, for me, it was, I liked when I saw experience with government entities and also that understanding of the private sector and what we open to. That's what stood out for me in a couple of proposals. Yeah, and then just looking at the examples and seeing was it user-friendly and clarity. I mean, I think Kevin, you made the comment before that you didn't understand some of the specifics of the security language or stuff like that, but I think the benefit of having your eyes is that it's what the public comes to and how they would engage with it based on what they saw on the website. So that's just as important.
For me, it was difficult reading through them all. After a while, you kind of saw a theme, and it was getting more difficult for me to differentiate between the two. But that having been said and knowing that that's what was going on in my head, I leaned heavier on the experience factor, comfort I might have with some of the firms We've done business with a couple of them before, so I was familiar, of course, with that. That's helpful. Clearly, these guys know what they're talking about, just about all of them. And kind of like Leslie, I had some difficulty, but I do have a favorite 3, if that's the number we're looking for. But they're all so technical and so the verbiage is just out of my league sometimes. So that's what I'll say about it. History, staffing, things like that, comfort.
One of the things that, as I was looking through this, and it was kind of alluded to in one of the proposals, is that we're unique in that in my career life, we used to use a 3-legged stool concept on a number of things, and we are the 3-legged stool, and we are OSED is an umbrella for the 3 legs of the IDA, the LDC, and urban renewal. And so I tried to read through that and see who got a picture of that, who understood how we operate and the idea of creating an umbrella or a seat with 3 legs to it, and how we're going to do that, particularly on the branding side. So, you know, as we talk about branding, I'm guessing that is going to be one of the first things we talk about. So how they can then go about building the website. Am I getting that correctly? Is that the way that it should work?
Isn't the branding, that's got to come.
Yeah, and whether it's finalized or not, that's a whole different thing, but
Yeah.
at least the concept of our branding, on how that could relate to them building a website. So what I'll do, and I ask that as we refer to the firms, they are numbered here, and that we talk about that, and if they're just some highlights one way or the other, you know, or just notable things, positive or negative about a numbered firm that anybody wants to bring up, that let's try that and see how that works. In the number 1, I noticed that they are all independent contractors. It is not a firm in the sense of the traditional sense of the firms that we're looking at right now. It's a group. They have worked together. I'm familiar with them, and they've done well. But then that brings into consideration the depth in my mind. Number 2, we had done a fair amount of, I think we're all pretty familiar with them, locally based, and have seen their work in some sense. Number 3 is certainly by far the most experienced, I believe, in understanding economic development through their work across New York State. They are not local, which to me, I always like to have that be a factor in decision making, but these people are really strong experience-wise. Number 4, again, local, smaller firm. What I didn't get was a good feel for the depth of that firm and who what the team really was, or bios particularly, particularly on the website. 2 different, people handling different things. One handling branding, the other one doing the website. That's the way I interpreted that. Number 5 was certainly a lot of experience in our field. The proposal itself, I did not think was a great proposal, unfortunately. But the understanding was there, the experience is there. Number 6 is a well-known firm, fairly local here, used to be here. Strong staff and background. They've done local government websites, which is good. Number 7, we have some experience with. They did not give a proposal that I noted. And they're partnering with another firm that I'm not familiar with for their branding portion of the proposal. And then number 8, I just thought was a boilerplate proposal with nothing, as Martha mentioned, or one of you mentioned about understanding Fairport and how the proposal is written with suggestions and like. And I thought that was totally lacking in that, and it was more just totally boilerplate that it could insert name here. So that was my take on it. I have narrowed that list down to 5. I did not rank them, and I'm happy to do that if we, if we get information and, as we share information, put my personal ranking on it. But the 5 that I were proposing are 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And that's not a ranking?
That is not a
what you
ranking. Okay, anybody else that wants to add anything? You don't have, I just had notes that I could refer to go firm by firm, but don't feel you need to do that. If you just want to call some highlights or lowlights out, that's fine. Ken, if you want to take a shot next.
All the reasons I said, and I do agree with some of what you said, Kevin. I was 1, 2, 5, and 6.
In that order, Ken, did you rank, or is that just the ones that you
No.
consider? So tell me again.
1, 2, 5, 6. I don't have a 5th.
Okay.
Okay. Rob, anything?
Yeah, I did rank them. I've got a clear top 2 in number 3 and number 5.
And that is in your 1 and 2 order?
Number 1 would be 5,
Oh, okay.
and number 3 would be
2.
2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it. I got you.
And then I have another 2 that are kind of neck and neck in the next tier. Number 2, I have 3rd. And number 7, I have 4th.
Okay,
Number 6, I have 5th. I did the top 5 as well.
great.
Sorry, so which one was number 1?
Number 1, I had number 3. No, I'm sorry. I'll say
Yeah.
this in order. Number 1 for me is 5.
No, I didn't.
Then 3 is number 2. 3rd ranked is number 2. 4th ranked is number 7. And 5th ranked is number 6. We should have the letters for one of these. But I will say too, appreciate everybody who submitted. The context provided by the scope of responses made it challenging. It also made it easier to identify. It helped identify what we need and what I think would be a good addition to the site. So appreciate everybody, even though we narrowed this down to the top 5 from my perspective.
Okay, we're gonna go with Donna next, just so we can keep our columns straight.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm glad to figure out that you can do this, all of this reading that there would seem to be some consensus. Okay, so I have number 3 ranked 1, number 2 ranked 2, then 5 ranked number 3, 6 ranked number 4, and 1 ranked number 5. I will say somebody mentioned 4. I didn't think 4 was an in-depth enough proposal, and I didn't really like their examples that they provided.
Leslie.
My top 3 or 375
In no particular order?
in that particular order.
Oh. Oh, yeah, it would be 3,
I was
7.
surprisingly unimpressed with 6. That surprised me.
Hmm.
4 was challenging with grammatical errors in
Ugh.
the sentence.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was like,
That's a killer.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
couldn't go any further. I didn't even go,
Yes.
I just
Mhm.
moved on.
Was
Yes.
it the cover page that was?
Yeah, there were
The
two
letter, the
grammatical,
intro letter.
yeah, two errors. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so, my order number, 7 being number 2, is, we've worked with them in the past. They're more, theirs was higher than some of the others. Their partner, organization does good work here in town. And yes, they were on the more expensive side than, 3 and 5. I liked 3 because I think it would bring a different look at who we are, as much as we like to stay local, I think we are local and we are all of a similar build, which I don't think is going to give us the true transformation we want to see on our website if we're all like-minded
And,
in that
and
way.
if I can add to that, again, I told you local is always a preference for me. But I did notice that their proposal is in-person meetings and the like, which I think makes it
Yeah.
easier than playing Hollywood Squares. And
Yeah, we have history working with, our last major project was an out-of-town firm.
Yes.
And,
with local roots, I mean, it's basically.
so,
Quick question, on number 7, because I was
mhm.
impressed by 7 as well, but if I missed it, tell me, but was there a timeline that they presented for the work? I mean, it seemed to list hours, but not the
Calendar time.
calendar timeline to complete stages.
I have no schedule provided as a note on mine as well, so that just hours.
In my rankings, that gave them a hit. But still top 5.
Yeah, well, maybe that wasn't it, this is just website. There was a diagram on page 8 that I kind of took as their timeline, but yeah, now that I look closely, there really is.
I think it's more of a flow chart.
Mhm.
Okay. And Ms. Malone has opinions and has been living this thing and probably in greater depth than we have, so I'm anxious to hear that.
Well,
Which, before you do,
yeah.
can I
Mhm.
did narrow my list down to a ranking of 1, 2, and 3.
did you? Oh, could you give me
So-
that? That
so
would
I
be
will
helpful.
I will give you that. Number 3 is number 1.
Yes.
Number 5 is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is number 3.
Hey, great. Great.
So,
And Ken, if you have any thoughts on ranking yours, or are they pretty even across the?
Even across.
Okay. Okay. I also have number 3 as number 1. And I actually liked, for some reason, 8 resonated with me. I right now I'd have to go back and understand why, only because my mind is full of 12 of them, but
you had them as 2.
as 2, yeah. And then I had number 6 as 3. So I don't think that skews any of the rankings here.
So
With
3, 8, 6 are your top 3?
Yes.
thank you. 386. Yep. Mhm. So right now, ranking wise, I assigned a point value for your rank. So if you chose it as number one, it would receive 100 points. So currently we have, just to recap this round, proposal number 3 is top with 480 points. And proposal number 5 is second with 300 points. And proposal number 2 is third with 200 points. I did not have, proposal number 2 came in 5 for me. I'll have to, you all talk amongst yourselves. I want to comment on that one in particular, and I can't recall right now. So, oh, I didn't feel that they were strong in the web development phase. I really would take another look at what that proposal was. I
No
didn't.
website examples given. That's one
Correct.
of my notes.
Their website examples were on branding. They weren't able to show me a strong website development. So that's why I ranked them, I put them in 5. And that was, I was being kind of generous. But I really, if you go back and look, their examples of relevant work are brand identity, refreshing a reputable brand, and then something else that, a website that I could not even access. So I don't see a strong web component in that. I also think that the way I've worked with them in the past, and it feels very much like a group of independent contractors versus a united team.
Which one?
Number 5, or number 2, which was my number 5.
Martha, what about number 6? It seems like we, most of us also had number 6 ranked.
Right.
I guess we just didn't have it ranked.
Right. Well, Rob had that as 5. You had that as 4. I had it as 3.
And I took it off mine when I went down from 5 to 3.
Oh,
I did not make the
all
top
right. Well,
3.
let's back in and see if we can throw in some numbers to help that through. Or I can take out anything below 3. Let me remove the 4s and the 5s from my spreadsheet, and we'll see what that comes up with. Is that okay? Okay. Number 3 remains the top at 480. Avery, or I'm sorry, number 2 is third, and number 5 is second.
So it didn't change the rank.
It didn't change the rankings. The only thing, right, the number 6 currently only has 60 points because
Kevin,
I gave it a 3.
Well,
And you know what? We could do 3. We could do 4.
I think what the purpose is to get 3 people that we all feel good about, and maybe not all of us will agree on the way we feel good, but it gives us 3 consensus solid picks, I believe, to bring in and talk to.
Yep.
And, if there's a deficiency that we felt there might be in their proposal or their firm, we could ask that and address that in person. We could let them expand on some things. So I think that that's reasonable and fair.
Okay. So again, just to recap, right now we have number 3 comes out with 480 points, having received top marks from 5 of us. Okay. Number 5 is second with 300 points, and number 2 is third with 200 points. And that's quite a diverse, if you look at them, those 3, that's a diverse group too. I mean, I think that's a good spread.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do hear your concerns about number 2.
Okay.
And
Do you want to change your vote?
no, I don't want to change my vote, but I want to give more weight to your concerns because you have worked with us and you will be essentially project managing this, right?
Mhm.
So for me, that I'd be interested in perhaps bringing in somebody that we haven't met before.
That one?
That we don't have experience working with. I'd be interested in bringing in number 6, let me just say that.
What if we
Okay.
do top 4?
I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
I'm on board.
2, 3, 5, 6.
2, 3, 5, 6. I'm happy with
I'm
that.
totally happy with that, yeah.
Good. Nice, Donna, thank you.
Remind me what.
When you
how
do
6
4.
ranked?
well,
6 currently, only received a vote from me in the top 3.
Oh, but I have them ranked as 4.
Right.
Yeah, and then I have others that rank at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were in the top 5.
okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
totally
the
good.
gap, so number 6 has the 4th highest total? I'm just asking, not passing judgment, like.
No, the number 7 received a second from you and thus calculates out at 80 points. Number 8, I threw in that, I had that as they got 80 points too. So, but I think if we do 2, 3, 5, and 6, I think we're gonna find something really good out of that.
Leslie, did you have any opinion between 6 and 7?
6 didn't rank high for me, but
Yeah.
but I'm not the be all that ends all, so let's.
Yeah, but
you know.
we think maybe we should bring in 7.
We've worked with 7 in the past.
And that's part of the reason.
Is that part of the reason why you do or didn't?
I mean, I would say, talk to the project manager.
That's fine.
I felt 7 has a very corporate and staid presence that didn't excite me. And having worked with them in the past also
Well,
was
that's how I felt
disappointed.
about 6.
Okay,
So, I
interesting.
mean, it just did the lack of excitement, not necessarily corporate, but the lack of excitement. That to me felt like a cookie cutter
Mm, mhm.
proposal that they spent maybe an hour tweaking. That just didn't, but that's.
Yeah, well, we could go back to, and we could go
And
through this one more
six
time and
is-
go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6 could wow me in person, though. You never know.
We're gonna end up with the top 5.
Well, let's talk about logistics here. Now, for this next step, we're going to have to commit ourselves to special meetings, plural, to do this.
Probably we'd only want to do 2 a night.
You only want to do 2,
Yeah.
and you need to give people 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Need 30 minutes for presentation. And well, I mean, they can go a couple of different ways. We've all done presentations. You can go 30 minutes presentation, 15 Q&A. You could go 20 minutes presentation, 10 Q&A, and then certainly 15 minutes between, at least 15 minutes between people. If we had 3 people we were interviewing, I would recommend that we do them in one session.
Mm-hmm.
If we had 4, I think you definitely need to spread out over 2. If you go to 5, that's a lot. 5 is a lot of people to interview. So I'd rather that we can get consensus to go 4 or 3. I think it will be better for us to keep our minds straight. I mean, we know how we got buggy reviewing 8,
Oh, totally.
and, trying to sort those out because of what, it's going to be the same thing. I really like what they said here. I didn't like what they said. But then they also said, and so you're going to have a lot of that. And that's probably going to be more difficult evaluating after we've interviewed people. So you'll have to
Yes.
get straight the proposal plus presentation
Yeah.
and go from there. So I strongly recommend we don't go to 5.
Right.
I'd like 3 if we could do it. 4 is manageable and is fine.
I will
Okay.
say, number 6 received rankings from both Clark and Roar, but we just didn't assign a number to them.
Okay.
I mean,
Mine was 4.
as we reflect on Leslie's comments, I might retract my insistence on her desire to interview her, given what you just said, have strong consensus on the top three? We just,
I think that only cutting 8 to 4 is only, I think we can cut 3 and interview 3. It'll be easier to get it done in one night, hear the differences and similarities. And
Well,
remember,
it's
we're
fresh.
still in charge.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm also gonna probably recommend that after we hear, we're gonna have a special meeting, do 3, and then within the next day or whatever, we meet, have a chance to sleep on it, reflect on it, rather than the third guy gets his best because
Yeah,
he's the last
yeah,
one we
yeah.
heard. We always wanted to go last, anytime I get presentations, always wanted to be last. But I would suggest, I mean, it'd be great if we could do an evening meeting followed by a morning meeting.
Okay,
That's coming from a retired guy that can make that work. So, but it's, whatever is gonna work for you all.
Let's do 2, 3, and 5. And I'd like to do an evening meeting in the next morning while it's fresh.
So said by another retired guy.
Yeah, well, that's true too, yeah. And that's.
I mean,
that's enough for
One
me.
evening.
we can start our meetings, earlier, even, we could meet at 7 and do breakfast and whatever. I mean, if for those that need to be somewhere else, we could also, we don't have to wait till 8.
Well, let me ask Leslie a question though. Do creative people, do their minds start working in the morning early?
If they don't, then what's Martha gonna do before 11?
Cal was telling me this week at the conference, he doesn't start any meeting before 10 anymore. So,
Oh, wow. Is that because she's semi-retired?
yeah. Boy, she's pretty busy for somebody retired. Man.
Like, if we're gonna do an evening and then we meet in the morning,
Mhm.
can one of them be after business hours, or before business hours? That's what I'm asking. So I don't miss the tail in the beginning.
Oh.
And I just threw
That's
out
all.
morning. We
Yeah.
could do an afternoon, the next day. I'm just throwing out what, you guys are way more important for
Yeah,
scheduling than
right.
us. So,
Mhm.
Earlier than this is gonna be tricky for me, because I gotta help get
Okay.
everything squared away in the morning.
Okay,
for
good
the
to
little
know.
guys, but,
All right.
an evening and then a time like this would work, or
Okay,
evenings.
or late afternoon.
Yeah.
and also, for that last one, I think we could accommodate a Zoom if we needed to. Better to be in person, but I think it's gonna be kind of difficult to manage everybody's schedules, but we could, certainly not for the presentations.
No. they would be
But
here.
I think for the final decision, maybe we could accommodate
Fine,
something
well,
if
yeah.
if it mattered. Okay, because it's gonna be hard to book 2 meetings for you all. We'll find a good date. But for now, we're talking about bringing in 2, 3, and 5 to do our presentation, do a in-person
So
presentation.
let's next go to scheduling our interview.
Mhm.
We've agreed that we're going to do all 3,
Yes,
and we don't need to do that around our special meeting. Or around our regular meeting. We're not gonna try to do that.
No.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be long.
correct. I think that, yes, I think there's too much to, yeah. So I think
We are
we'd be.
today, October the 7th.
So if we want to look at the week of the 17th,
October 7th.
I am not there on the 17th.
oh, okay, no chair on the 17th, because that's our
I'm out of
board
town.
meeting,
And I am not there on the 20th.
right?
Oh, 17th, yeah, I am here for,
Yeah.
those at me, I'm gone during the day, I'm returning.
Oh, okay.
Returning from Maine.
How does Wednesday, the 19th look?
That's good.
It's good to me.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, Rob,
What are we doing? The 19th?
the 19th, Wednesday, the
The
19th.
evening of.
When we say evening, are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, what is,
6?
I mean, we start them at 5, do you wanna start them at 4?
4.
You wanna,
4:30? What, do you-
the first one and.
It work or doesn't? It can.
well, let's time it. We're talking about
4:30.
4:30 to 5, right? And then the next one isn't 5:15 till 5:45.
You can only give a half an hour for presentation plus Q&A.
Whatever your thoughts are.
If it starts at 4:30, we'd want to be done by 7:30, don't you think,
Yeah.
maybe? I mean,
After that, you're not really functioning.
right,
Correct.
or by 7?
So do we want to go 20-minute, because you have to tell them
Yeah,
what, what the timing is. And, 20 and 10 is quick from my experience in us doing presentations. And
I don't feel
even
like
though it's a
that's
different product I'm selling, it's, it's still what you want to say and what message you want to get out and what time, how much time, questions are the best part of a presentation.
I agree. I want to get a sense of how it will be to work with these people.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of think
I don't
30
wanna
minutes is not enough. I think 30 minutes is not enough for them to present and for us to get any decent questions.
So
out of them.
So,
45
about
minutes
two real-
apiece?
I think we're talking about branding plus web.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
none of us
Yes.
understand web,
good point, yes.
you know.
So 30,
So
so
30
a 45
plus
minute,
45
minute
minutes each?
block.
Mhm. With
So,
15 minutes in
in
between
between.
for us to, okay,
So that does put us at 7:30 then.
okay. So start at
Is that
4:30?
okay with everybody?
Yes.
I'm just looking at dates. You guys everybody's good on the 19th.
Yes,
That's what we're talking Wednesday the 19th?
yes.
What you-
It's tough. I'm gonna see if I can move a trip.
A whole trip?
To New York, yeah. Does the 24th?
24th is even better for me.
Oh, wait, when is our,
We've got our normal meeting on the 17th. Just curious if the 24th works,
I could do the 24th, same thing.
4:30 to 7:30 on the 24th. I don't want to screw up everybody else's schedule, but that's,
That's a Monday.
yeah,
Wait.
it's another Monday.
oh, okay. That's
It's Diwali.
Yeah.
I don't know
How
what that
do you
is.
plan to celebrate?
It's-
If it's a celebration.
I don't know what it is. It's on the calendar,
I
though.
do celebration. I like celebration.
Right. So,
Google over here says it's a Hindu celebration of light.
okay. So are we talking about moving it from the 19th to the 24th?
That's what Rob is
The
suggesting.
19th is tough for me.
Okay. I'm good with the 24th.
And then the 24th, and then that one's good with me, and then that following week is good for.
Or we would want to meet again on the 25th, essentially.
Correct.
On the 25th, I do have a 9 a.m. meeting, but
We could do afternoon.
I'm free afternoon.
Do you want to do a 4:30 on the 25th?
Do that.
To do that.
All right, so 4:30 for both days, 24 and 25.
That sounds good.
All right.
No conflicts with boardrooms.
One moment, please, while I
yeah.
access that
24th could be-
information.
24th could be a challenge.
But the 25th, we could meet anywhere,
The boardroom is
the 5 of
available.
us to talk about.
What's
this.
that, Lily?
Not
The
be-
boardroom is available the 24th and 25th,
Oh.
and the new conference room is available as well,
Great.
but the boardroom is available.
Book 'em, Daniel.
Okay, so interviews are 10:24,
Mm-hmm.
4:30 to 7:30. And we're gonna let Martha get talked into who's available at what time, and no particular order to the interviews.
Okay.
Because if they're smart, they're gonna say, oh, we're really tied up at 4:30. Is there any way we could make it, a little later than that?
Right. No, I
But
typically,
if
when
not,
I,
we'll make it, but
typically
be
what I
really
do
better
is
for us.
tell them what time.
Okay.
And I'll
right. and
I'll
then I would
randomly
respond,
select who's.
I'd respond.
Yeah.
Plan an hour on the 25th.
But if not, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
4:30,
I guess
5:30.
an hour, yeah.
Cool.
It's a heavy OSED month, guys.
I know.
Yep.
Well, it is
The
our,
November
the
meeting coming
first
up.
year, the first month of our new fiscal year. All right, I think
Gosh, let's go to 10.
we're in good shape.
And then, so the follow-up meeting though,
Will be Tuesday, the 25th at 4:30 back here.
We'll get those in Ken's calendar. Well, that's good. I appreciate, thank you all very much for putting it. This is, Martha called it a heavy lift, and it is. You know, it's a lot to go through. I appreciate everybody giving it the diligence they have received or deserved. So,
Yeah,
good thing.
it was great. I really appreciate the effort that you all put in. It's not easy. Yes.
We need to move to adjourn.
We will, yeah. Anything else anybody has? For
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And I assume you're sending out.
All right. Thanks, gang.
Invite